That was for audio, I was like, how? Oh God. Right. That- Oh my God.
Kieran, is my full name appearing on that YouTube account or no?
Oh, I told you the other night, your name doesn't come up on it. It just says Ben.
Right, cool. Because this is a different YouTube I'm logged in with.
I think that you're gonna die in hell. Bess, can you hear my tap when I'm tapping the screen?
Say it again.
I've just done a few there. Could you hear it?
Nah. Try again when it goes quiet.
Because Kathleen mutes me on her lives because I'm tapping too loud.
I can't hear it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Product types. Oh my God. Mo, I can see you first on the chat.
Me.
I've got 80.
Bum and bums. Excuse me.
There's 16 folk in already.
6 fucking hell. They're all here for us. That's how you get. Oh, that's great, Mo. You're really putting my nerves down. Again, yeah.
So, let's go.
Alrighty, so we are here and we're live. Let me switch that music off. And if you notice that I've actually put the wrong photograph in there. because I'm so excited about having all these wonderful people on the show tonight. And you know what we're going to do? We're just going to get this started with the intro right now. Good evening, Scotland. Good evening, social media land. I hope you are well. Welcome to that Indy show. It is Wednesday, the 15th of February, 2023. We're recording tonight's live for the security and integrity of the message and the ability to upload and share via other platforms. So, she has seen off 5 other Prime Ministers and won every election since she became First Minister, and is actually the longest serving First Minister in Holyrood. The context of tonight's discussion is based around the resignation of our First Minister. Why did she do this at such a seriously crucial time for independence and the country as a whole? Are there other reasons over and above from what she said today on the press conference? What happens now after she's resigned? This is the context of what the discussion we will be having on tonight's show, and I have 3 other grassroots indie folk who are sitting in the digital green room waiting to say hello. It's Aaron, Beth and Kieran, who are all serious about Scottish independence and have always had a very positive argument about Indy too. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hiya, Beth. And hiya,
Jimmy.
Aaron. Jimmy, brilliant. So these guys are going to be on in about 5 minutes after we've had a wee intro and everything just now. So the first part of what I'm going to do just now, I think it's important that we look at the point of view of such people like John Curtis, the pollster. So I am going to basically bring that up just now for us all to watch, and then we'll come right back and start the proper discussion.
Polls been hinting at this resignation in any way?
Well, that's the case. You have to decide whether the glass is half full or half empty. The truth is that Miss Sturgeon is still by far and away the most popular leader in Scotland, and her party is still dominant so far as the electorate is concerned. That said, however, her popularity is now, shall we say, as low as it has been at any point during her tenure as First Minister. She was very, very popular in the early months and years. That reached a point where roughly half of people felt she was doing okay and half of people thought she wasn't. She then got a very substantial boost during the pandemic, where she was regarded as a very effective communicator and leader of her country, in contrast to Boris Johnson. But that's been gradually diminishing. And of course, more recently, as Ian Whitworth has been explaining, she's hit some much choppier waters politically. But she's still back in the position where roughly as many people think she's doing okay as don't think she's going okay. Not really at the kind of levels that in itself would say, well, you're now a big drag on your party and you need to resign. The honest truth is, NICOLA STURGEON still is the most effective communicator for her party by far. There isn't an obvious successor, and whether or not the party will be able to find somebody who is able to prosecute the case for independence as effectively as perhaps Ms. Sturgeon might have been willing to do so if she were to carry on, that I think is still very much a big question.
Yeah, that is a bit of a big question. Who would replace Nicola Sturgeon? And listening to John Curtis, it's incredible to even think that the strength of Nicola could ever be replaced. It's a seriously tough act to follow, and considering that there's so much online just now for it all, you know. I'm going to bring in our wonderful people to talk about this today. So let's bring in our indie folk to discuss what has happened today. Hiya guys, thank you so much for coming and joining us. I know this is a completely different environment from TikTok that you're used to, so I want to say that I'm very grateful for you being here, and let's have a good wee chat about this. How are you all feeling today?
Yeah,
Yeah,
feeling good. Feeling good.
Could be
Excellent.
worse. Could be one of these poor dafties that work for Tesco. Do you know what I mean?
I've just put your pictures up on the screen here just now. There's Beth, Kieran and Aaron. So thank you. And just let me just have a big thank you. I don't know whether any of you guys that are in the green room can see the chat box. There's a whole bunch of people in. Robertson, Blackfurs in, sorry, Cable Gaming. We know that's our David. Will I Am. My pal Margaret. Druss, Michelle, Dave, George, Kimru is there too. Thank you everybody for coming to join us, and anybody that is not in the chat just now, there's 25 people watching. Thank you for coming and joining us. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll have to wait 5 minutes and then you can join in the live chat. So listen, thank you very much for joining us. So she's resigned. What does that mean for Scotland, guys? How did you feel when you first learned about this?
We're all going to die.
We're all going to die. No.
I felt shock at first, a little bit shock, and then after that, it was excitement to see what was coming next.
Yeah, and the thing is, what is going to come next? What did you think, Kieran?
I was completely shocked. I was on Twitter and I saw like this photo of her resignation. Like I didn't believe it. And then I saw you chatting about it on the Discord, and I couldn't believe it. I
That's
didn't
a
think
bit
it'd be so
mental.
good.
I mean,
My dad told me.
Your dad told you?
My dad told me, and I'm like, oh, all right.
That's mental. I'm actually got Aaron on video chat in Discord coming through to this, and he's sitting there eating his dinner, and it's quite impossible for me to have a serious conversation watching him eating his chicken tikka masala or whatever it is that he's got there just now, which is quite funny. But listen, we've lost a great political leader. I mean, she's a strong lady, and she could stand up to pretty much anybody that was in Holyrood and stuff. Where do we go to from here, though? Who do you think's going to replace her? Have you got any ideas?
The bookies have their ideas, but I really don't want to say because, in my opinion, it's any horse race. It's a bit like the Grand National.
Yeah, that's true. What about yourself, Kieran? Who do you think may replace Nicola?
I think it'd be Stephen Flynn.
Do you think he's got enough experience for it all?
He's been good in Westminster. He'd be good in Holyrood.
Fair dues. Fair dues indeed. And, you know, Douglas Ross has proven that you can be an MP and an MSP. So we could see if that would be possible with us. Stephen, what do you think the international community is considering? I mean, there's a lot going on in the world, and, you know, Nicola was, like, respected internationally. And I think that to have somebody else come in that might be less known could, you know, affect our international sort of, our relationship with the rest of the world or our reputation.
Nah.
It's a tough thing to think. Do you think it's a big nah for that, Aaron?
I don't think it would.
No. Well, I didn't know who Emmanuel Macron was until he became the French president.
There you go. That's
I
fair.
think it depends. I think it depends on who actually wins it as well. I would like Stephen Flynn or Mary Black to take it, because they're young, they come from working class backgrounds, and they're a bit more with the times. And I think having such young, fresh faces as First Minister of Scotland would look amazing.
Yeah, that's very true. Mary Black would be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What about the is it Kate, what's her name, the finance minister that's on maternity? What do you think of her?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not keen. No, I'm not keen. I mean, it isn't any horse race, like any of them could take it, but my favourites would definitely be Mary Black or Stephen Flynn.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's going to be me.
It's going to be you. Of course it is. I would vote for you, Aaron, without a doubt.
That'd be funny.
Okay.
You know that.
I know that. I know that. Why do you think she's gave the reasons that for resigning? Her reasons were basically she's wanting to stand down because she doesn't want to be in a position where she might not have her full energy to take the party forward and make the decision at conference next month. She believes that, well, I've got a video over that we'll play in a little while that kind of talks about other reasons. But when you look at it, all right, for the past couple of months since the GRR bill was rejected by an act of Westminster, I feel that it's been non-stop attack, more than usual.
Yeah.
For Nicola and the Scottish government. I mean, it's been non-stop. And I think I said last night in the Discord chat, and I don't know whether I said it on my live as well, that I kind of felt that this has been done on purpose because it's been an Ashcroft poll, like a Lord Ashcroft poll, a Tory poll, that came in and basically said, nah, independence is going to be garbage now because of the latest polls that he's taken. It seems too perfect that all this has happened, and that could be a bit of a conspiracy theory, but I just feel as well that after this onslaught, it's going to affect anybody. How would you feel if you were constantly getting verbally battered every single day? You know, it doesn't seem to bother Boris Johnson.
I think it was the sheer scale. It is on the masses, the abuse that she's had to deal with left, right, and centre, coming through all platforms, mainstream media, social media. It's just relentless. And I think after all this time and everything she's put up with, I think she's done it really exceedingly well to last this long.
I think she'll be missed. I think
definitely.
I'll miss her. I mean, she's been our leader for 8 years, and to think of somebody else taking over is tough. It's a tough act to follow. She's so well established and ingrained with the Scottish government, but all good things must come to an end, and maybe this is the right time, as we'll have a wee discussion later on about. So what could this mean for the independence movement as a whole? I think many indie folk will be upset, and many of the toxic fringe will be celebrating. Has anybody been on Twitter to see what they're all saying just now?
Yeah.
What have been said?
Just the same things as always. It's just constant abuse and attacking her for anything.
When I went on, it was almost like elation from some people, and that's some people within the independence movement as well, which is really quite sad. I think that the whole celebrating that she's gone thing is like shooting yourself in the foot, to be perfectly honest. You know, I don't like the toxic fringe. I'm looking at the chat just now. James Jarvie says there's currently parades going on in Glasgow. Yeah, I don't think so. There might be some, but I don't think it'll be from the independence movement or the toxic fringe. But there you go.
I've not seen anything.
You what, sorry?
I've not seen anything.
You've not seen. Of course, you're over in that part of the world. I forgot. Okay, so the media are already making lists of successors. We said Mary or Stephen. Somebody's even said Joanna Cherry as well, which, you know, she's got the experience, but I don't think she would be as popular. She's not as charismatic as some of these other people and stuff. But I don't know.
You've
Will
got Angus
anybody ever have the
Robertson as
charisma
well.
of Nicola? Sorry, what are you saying?
Angus Robertson.
Yeah. I
So I'm
think
just
Angus
saying
is
that.
a good call, without a doubt. He's got a lot of experience. And he's definitely got the charisma as well. When it comes down to a vote within the SNP party, I would probably give Angus my vote, to be perfectly honest. But there you go.
I think
Okay,
out of
I've
them
got a
all,
video that I'm going to play just now, which is actually Nicola's resignation sort of chat about everything. So I'm going to quickly play that to you, and then we'll come in and have a wee discussion about what she said.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming along. I'm sorry to break into your half-term break. Being First Minister of Scotland is, in my admittedly biased opinion, the very best job in the world. It is a privilege beyond measure, one that has sustained and inspired me in good times and through the toughest hours of my toughest days. And so today I am announcing my intention to step down as First Minister and leader of my party. I have asked the National Secretary of the SNP to begin the process of electing a new party leader, and I will remain in office until my successor is elected. I know there will be some across the country who feel upset by this decision and by the fact I am taking it now. Of course, for balance, there will be others who will, how should I put this, cope with the news just fine. Such is the beauty of democracy. But to those who do feel shocked, disappointed, perhaps even a bit angry with me, please know that while hard, and be in no doubt, this is really hard for me, my decision comes from a place of duty and of love. We are at a critical moment. The blocking of a referendum as the accepted constitutional route to independence is a democratic outrage. But it puts the onus on us to decide how Scottish democracy will be protected and to ensure that the will of the Scottish people prevails. My preference of using the next Westminster election as a de facto referendum is well known. I've never pretended it is perfect. No second best option ever is, nor that there are no alternatives. That is why I've always been clear that the decision must be taken by the SNP collectively, not by me alone. But I know my party well enough to understand that my view as leader would carry enormous, probably decisive weight when our conference meets next month. And I cannot, in good conscience, ask the party to choose an option based on my judgment, whilst not being convinced that I would be there as a leader to see it through. By making my decision clear now, I free the SNP to choose the path it believes to be the right one, without worrying about the perceived implications for my leadership, and in the knowledge that a new leader will steer us, I believe, successfully on that path.
I think she was a bit emotional there when she was saying this. If you all watched that today, it was a bit emotional, and she seemed a bit tired as well. What do you think, guys?
I absolutely. Leaving the job you've had for like over 8 years it'd be deeply saddened to leave.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as if she's done. Well, the party hasn't been exactly popular, and with most people, with most decisions are good, but there has been some decisions that aren't so popular. But her as a politician and as a leader, sorry, I'm flashing my Kit Kat chunky on the screen there. Her as a her as a leader and what her government has actually done for Scotland, there is more positivity for Scotland in the last 9 years now than there has been in the last 300 years.
Mhm.
Because now we feel more proud to be Scottish. The fact that she's made, well, her government's done things like make female sanitary products free. Your prescriptions are free. There's no toll roads. What else do you want is to say? Do you know what I mean? Aye, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Glasgow is a wee bit shambles, but that's for the mob who built it. It's falling apart. But
Yeah.
they
No,
haven't put
I think there's
up
been a
who
lot of
them
successes,
accepted.
Aaron, from the Scottish Government as a whole, right the way through the whole tenure since Alex Salmond was there, right up until today with Nicola.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
really, it's important that we recognise all these things and actually
Yeah.
turn around and say, would all these things be in place if we didn't have the SNP? Do you think that the Conservatives, if they were in power in Scotland, or if the Labour was in power in Scotland, do you think they would have done any of these things at all? I don't think so. What do you think?
I don't think so either.
No.
I don't think so. And it was very sad to see her talk in the day because I feel like she had so much more to give.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was she wanted the goalie independence. And although she'll see it through the back seat and she'll still be there, Ken, it's just a bit gutting that she didn't make it happen herself. So I feel for her that it was like the biggest goal she made. She done loads. The baby box, Ken, the Queen's Ferry crossing. She delivered more than 100,000 new homes and 1,000 new schools that were built or Ken revenerated. It's just sad that the biggest one, the biggest prize, that she just couldn't make it there quite in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to remember all the good things that she done, and I do feel that it's highly doubtful that we would have got all that package and then some if we were under Tory control up here. I just see that happening.
I agree completely. What do you think, Kieran?
I completely agree. Like, she definitely had a lot more left to give, especially when she spoke about New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern not that long ago.
Yeah, and she was asked as well in an interview, does she have enough gas left in the tank? And she said aye, but maybe that's just to see independence through in a different way. And here's something I want to discuss with you just now. Okay, the whole procedure for selecting a new First Minister comes from Holyrood. It's part of the Scotland Act, 1998, where basically Holyrood actually has to vote internally for this. So anybody can stand for First Minister, they have a debate, and then a vote is taken. So if the First Minister resigns, like we have had a resignation today, if a new First Minister is not selected within 28 days, it triggers a general election in Scotland, which right now could potentially be considered to be a plebiscite or what they call a de facto referendum. This is weird that her timing for this is just over 28 days until the conference, the Special Democratic Conference. See, I believe this is, as much as it doesn't seem tactical, it comes across to me as being a bit tactical to allow another choice for a referendum this year in October, the original date that was set for it. What do you think? Do you think this is a potential for it? Is it something we should be thinking about?
I agree, Mo. I think this was a chess move, and I do believe that this is very tactical, and it will hopefully work out for the best interests of the Indy movement. I think the timing is just too perfect for it not to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, is that, in my opinion. I think the timing is, like, when I first heard it, I thought, oh my God. And then the penny dropped and I was like, oh my God, this could be so tactically good, you know? What do you think, Kieran?
Yeah, it feels very much like a political tactic. It could. I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Yeah. Aaron?
I mean, we don't really need a de facto referendum. We can hold one without the consent under the United Nations, but if this is the way they're wanting to go, and that's fine, I don't care. That they're in government, so there's nothing I can really do about it. Do you know what I mean?
So
It's not
I
going to
think
lose a
that
vote.
if we're going to go and just hold one, right, it's getting the international recognition in the first place for it. So if we were to do a de facto, or I prefer the word plebiscite for it, if we were to do that, it's a proper ballot box event with rules and regulations. It would be internationally recognised by the UN as well. And if we got enough people to put the cross in the box for SNP1 and any other independence parties, that's how I feel about it, we could end up pushing a lot more unionists out with the way that the system operates, and also having it recognised by the UN, and then go into negotiations to move into independence. But it will only come if the SNP have the courage to actually take that step and do whatever political wrangling they have to do over the next 28 days to stop a First Minister becoming, well, basically a First Minister, really, at the end of the day. Just because the party, like the SNP, have the most MSPs does not automatically mean that they will have the First Minister. Right, it depends on who votes in the parliament. So I don't know how they do it. Do the SNP and the Greens abstain from voting? That means that they'll never be able to elect a First Minister if the Tories put a candidate forward and Labour put a candidate forward, like they usually do anyway. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. But I would like to think that this is a tactical move. I'd like to think that it is a positive move, and that we would have a Scottish election before the end of the year, because I think we need it. What do you think?
100%. I very much hope that no one is chosen in the next 28 days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anybody to be picked.
That's fair. That is totally fair. The thing that Nicola said in her little video there as well is that she would prefer to have obviously a Section 30, and her second choice is using the UK general election as a plebiscite. Now, for me, that's not the right choice, because it disenfranchises EU citizens and the 16-year-olds who are very pro-independence just now as it is. I think that it's more important for us to consider a Scottish referendum for doing that sort of thing. I think it's a lot more persuasive. It puts a spotlight on Scotland rather than the whole of the UK within the press as well. On the international stage, you know, it would work really well. I'm looking at the chat just now. Dave Hill's saying SNP 1 and the Greens 2 if it's a de facto. I will make a couple of lives and a video showing people how the calculation works for the D'Hondt system, so we can start putting that out now. I think it's really important that people understand that. So even if it's not recognised, the working government within Holyrood will push out as many unionist MSPs as possible, potentially 30. We could actually push out 30 if everybody voted any other Indy 2. And I will discuss that with anybody, the pros and cons of doing that anytime they want, because it's important that we understand exactly the strength of your second vote in the additional member system we use in Scotland. But she also said as well in that little speech that she wants to allow the SNP to decide how to take this forward. And was it Angus Robertson that made an amendment to use a Scottish election for a plebiscite? I'm sure there was something just recently about that, guys. Was it Angus? Was it Angus Robertson? I don't know, I can't remember. What is, not Angus Robertson, somebody McNeil? Anybody in the chat help me with this?
Angus McNeil.
Angus McNeil, thank you. See, not Robertson. What am I talking about? So, yeah, thank you, Kieran. He's put an amendment forward basically for conference to say, hey, look, let's use a Scottish election for this. And I would like to vote for that. I think it's a much better idea. I'm going to the conference, so unless I'm got to vote a particular way for my ward, I will be voting for that because I think it's the right thing to do for it all. So what are your guys' opinions on how we move forward with this? Do you think that it should be a UK general election we use as a plebiscite, or do you think we should be using a Scottish referendum, a Scottish general election, sorry?
It's a Scottish matter, so I'd say a Scottish election.
That's fair. I like that idea.
I agree with Kieran. This is Scotland's matters, and it should be up to Scotland.
Yep.
We could do that, but I mean, it's not as if it's not as if that mob's general election's going to come anytime soon, is it?
Well, their general election's supposed to be
Next year.
2024. Yeah.
Aye,
So,
but who wants to wait to 2024? Do you know what I mean?
well, there's the other thing you've got to consider as well. If we have an election now, push out unionists and treat it as a yes/no vote on independence, it means we can start negotiations with Westminster and go into a position where we're discussing independence, and we will not be pushed into a corner with the legislation that they want to do on the 1st of January, which is the Brexit sort of exiting all the regulations from the EU law, which will basically take away a whole pile of workers' rights and stuff. That's something that we have to remember as well, that's coming. We need to be doing something this year as opposed to the next year as well, which sucks. Okay,
Well, there is that.
one other wee thing. Stephen Flynn said that his opinion would be to use a Westminster election for this because he feels that a Scottish election is about governing Scotland, and he would prefer to see it done that way. I don't. I totally disagree with him, as we probably see here just now with our discussions. But I don't think that's the right thing to do. It's like Kieran said, it's a Scottish matter. It should be a Scottish election that does it. What does everybody think in the chat just now across on YouTube? I'll ask that question. If you think that it should be a Scottish matter, therefore a Scottish election, give us a thumbs up. If you think that it should be if you don't think it should be that, give us a thumbs down in the chat, and we'll let you do that because we're about a minute behind on the chat anyway for that. But it would be good to see thumbs up for a Scottish one, thumbs down for a Westminster one, please. Douglas Yoon all over the shop. Yeah, I think he'll be having a field day just now, Kimru, for that. So yes, you guys in the chat have been super cool, and while everybody decides on a thumbs up and a thumbs down, I've got one last little video I want to play, which is Jane Godley and Janie Godley having her voice with Nicola Sturgeon's resignation thing. So let me quickly bring that up just now.
Right, I'm just going to draw a wee cock and balls on that. That'll put her right off. To you, Nicola. Bye-bye, cock and balls. Perfect. Well, that's me resigned. At least I never get sacked. Ha-ha, Tories. Oh, somebody's drawn a cock and balls on my bit of paper here. Anyhow, people have been saying, what are you going to do with your spare time now, Nicola? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. You know how you've seen Cruising with Jane McDonald? Well, I have decided to do caravanning with Nicola Sturgeon. It'll be brilliant. We'll head all the high spots like Largs and Arbroath. I love a caravan. It's a 2-berth, sleeps 9. And I'm going to take up budging. I don't like dogs, so I'm just going to start breeding budgies. Who knew that was a thing? And see if that doesn't work out. I'm going to start a wee soup pot business, and then we're going to start on the Pippa D, and then me and all the Sandras, all the Deborahs and Big Catherines, we're all going to start a Zumba group. At the end of the day, there's lots for me to be getting on with. Now, before I go, everybody, and I know you're all desperate to do it, I need you to sign my lever shirt. Everybody get your Sharpies out. That's brilliant. Right, that's me off. Frank, get the door!
Oh dear. Janie Godley drawing a cock and balls on Nicola's notes on the podium there. Did any of you guys see that earlier on? Watch that on TikTok.
Yeah, I saw that before. Yeah, I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. We
It's
like that.
brilliant.
It's nice to think that we can still have a sense of humour about something so pertinent as all this. I've got non-stop thumbs up, by the way, for it being a Scottish one. So from a Saltire collective point of view, I think that come conference, I will be putting that across in any breakout group that I think that most people would want it to be a Scottish matter settled in a Scottish election, and then we just need to do it. The other thing that we'll finish up with tonight, and I want to put this to my little discussion group, is that the independence whole movement has been a bit fractured between since I'm not mocking Alapa, but since Alapa came along, people have said that Nicola has split the independence movement. But how can you split a movement? All right, how can you actually split a movement that are all wanting the same thing? They just turn round and want to go about it in a slightly different way. They have different political day job views. They just don't agree on that whole day job politics thing. But I can comfortably say that if it comes down to it, we're all yes Scots, and we're all going to vote yes. There's no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever. So let's get a date, let's get a direction, and let's unite behind Indy and move forward with this. We've got a tremendous opportunity here, guys. What do you think? To move forward as one? How do you feel?
100%. Yeah,
Absolutely.
everyone needs to team together now, no matter what political party, your independence political party you're aligned with. We all need to club together now and go forth.
Yeah, totally agree. What do you think, Aaron?
What she said.
What she said. Brilliant. Kieran?
I completely agree with what Beth said. We need to stop the infighting between all the independence parties and just move together as one for Scotland.
And I think that it'll be easier to do that when we have a goal to aim for, because right now we don't have a date, we don't have a focal point to where to say, hey, look, we all want independence, we know that we're all going to vote yes, but where is it? What can we do about it? So we just turn on each other and we start getting angry with each other. We start turning around and like pointing the finger at each other, just like the clans of old. I think it's genetic with us Scots. You know, we want to fight. So if we don't have somebody to fight collectively against, we'll start fighting with each other, you know? And it's not a bad thing. It kind of prepares us for the big fights, really, at the end of the day. But we need to get behind independence once we've got a decision about, you know, the direction we're going to go in and stuff with a date. So yeah. Have you got anything you guys want to say before we finish up for the night? Would you believe that we've actually been chatting nonsense for 45 minutes, Beth? Can you believe that?
That's crazy. It doesn't feel like 45 minutes.
I know, it's mad, eh?
No, what I
Aaron,
was
have
going
you
to
got
say.
something you want to say before we wrap up for the evening?
Well, what I was going to say was, I see what you're talking about. That obviously people agree that it should be a Scottish election that decides this. But the thing is, they can just ignore that. Do you know what I mean? They can just turn around and go, "Aye, okay, whatever," and then just shut the curtains and go, right. They can't bother us. But if we elect a majority, our people, to their House of Commons, they can't ignore us there.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
But we
Yeah.
have a It's like all bar about what 6 MPs in Westminster just now for
think it's
all the Scottish ones, and they're ignoring us. It's a ballot box event which shows at least 50% of the electorate have voted for independence-leaning parties that we can take to the international community, because we say that is what we've campaigned on, that is what the people have voted for, they know what they were voting for. We want independence. We want to start negotiating with Westminster for our independence right now. International community, will you recognise that? And I reckon that we'll get that recognition a lot quicker that way. But we'll wait and see what happens, because right now it's all pie in the sky until we get a direction. So the next couple of weeks are very important. So we'll be watching all the news feeds. What do you think, Beth? Have you got anything you want to add tonight before we disappear?
No, I'm just going to repeat. I hope they pick no one for 28 days.
I think so too. You got anything to add, Kieran?
When we talked about the 19th of October a few minutes ago, I don't agree with having the election on the 19th of October. I'd rather have it as soon as possible in case Westminster try and pull any tactics to prevent anything from happening.
That's a great point, Kieran.
That is a good point. So usually when there's an election, there is, I can't remember the name of the process, but it's a time, a cooling off period where they can't put any pertinent policies in place, leading up to the dissolution of Parliament. And once that is being dissolved, the Electoral Commission doesn't allow any hoodwinks from Westminster to do anything. So there are protections in place to prevent such things. But the October date is quite historically significant. I don't know if you guys know what happened on the date. Was it the 19th or the 29th of October when they were going to do it? Purda, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for saying that. That's what it's called, Purda. Do you know what happened in October historically on the date?
No.
It's when America surrendered to... Sorry, when the English surrendered to America at the end of the War of Revolution in America.
All right, yeah.
So it would be quite interesting to have our independence vote on the same day as the Americans won their battle for independence against the British Empire. How significant would that be?
It's very poignant, definitely.
I don't know
I
how
think that's-
significant it would be to Scotland, but
You what, sorry?
I don't know how that significant that would be to the Scottish electorate, but
It's just, I think it's quite funny considering that, you know, there was a massive war of independence against the English Empire, the British Empire, all right? And we're fighting for our independence, and we potentially win our independence on that day as well. It's just,
Oh,
it's
so
just nice.
Date is very good.
know?
Yeah, I like that idea.
you
I
can
think
pick
it's
a month,
interesting.
pick a day, pick a month, pick a day, and you'll find a day that somebody was fighting a war against Britain for its independence.
Aye, true, true. It's just that America being the biggest country, it's got a lot of significance for it all. Right. Listen, I want to say thank you to Aaron, to Beth, and to Kieran for coming on for our first ever Sherry type of live on YouTube. I quite like doing these. We'll be doing more of these, and we'll get better at doing them as we go along. Hopefully
Thank you
next
for
time I
having us,
won't
Mark.
have any videos playing, so I don't have to keep switching mics on and off and stuff like that. But listen, guys, I really appreciate you coming on and putting your view across. It's been very nice having you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. That's good.
Definitely. And let me just say to everybody in the chat, this has been one of the busiest and nicest lives that I've done. We've got 22 people watching just now, which is the most I've ever had. So I really appreciate the time that you've come on just for this kind of informal chat. It's a very relaxed sort of show that I do here. It's usually myself that's just doing it, but I wanted to bring in some of the people that I hang out with on Discord to get their points of view across as well. So I appreciate your time and coming to do it. There will be lives pretty much every day this week because I'm on holiday just now, which is good. And if there's anybody from the Discord community I will be going across there to have a chat about this with anybody where we can relax and have a cup of tea and have a good chin wag about what's happened today. If you want to join the Discord community, you just need to download Discord, and once you've got your Discord handle, send me a message on Twitter or on Instagram. Instagram name is just the Saltire, and the Twitter name is the Saltire IG. So if you get yourself across there, send me a message with your name and your number. We'll verify your account, make sure you're pro Indy in the ways that I do, and we'll get you in for a chat. It should be nice. Okay, listen, guys, thank you again for coming live with me tonight. I hope to do this again with you another time, and in the meantime, we will see everybody in Discord. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Hi everyone.